There was a time when I underestimated the Glock 26, a compact pistol known for its reliability and excellent concealability. In a previous video, I even boldly stated that if I could only carry one gun, I'd pick the HK VP9SK over the Glock 26. The reason was simple: I felt disconnected from it. Even though I had spent years carrying it, I believed there were other subcompact pistols on the market that offered a more enjoyable shooting experience. So I walked away, convinced our relationship had run its course. But life has a way of surprising us. During a recent personal project involving a polymer frame and various new accessories, I needed a test platform and I chose a Gen 4 Glock 26. Unexpectedly, that decision rekindled old feelings. The moment I picked it up again, memories came flooding back. What I once saw as flaws, its size, the less than perfect grip, suddenly became advantages in the right context. That's when I realized I owe the Glock 26 an apology. The gun didn't change, I did. My shooting technique, my grip, my perspective on what makes a pistol great, all of that evolved over the past year. And because of those changes, the Glock 26 reminded me why it was once my go-to choice. So today, I want to publicly say, I'm sorry, Glock 26, for walking away, for doubting you, and for not recognizing your strengths sooner. After stepping away from the Glock 26 for some time, I recently found myself circling back to it, but not for sentimental reasons. This return was sparked by my growing interest in polymer builds. Over the winter months, I dove into several frame projects to keep myself occupied and challenged. One of those projects involved building around a polymer frame, and naturally, I needed a reliable test platform to help fine-tune the fitment and function. The Glock 26 Gen 4 seemed like the perfect candidate for the job. Why the Gen 4 specifically? While most Glock parts are interchangeable across generations, the Gen 4 offers enough compatibility with Gen 3 components, which is what most polymer kits are modeled after. That made it a smart choice for practical testing. Plus, it gave me the perfect excuse to revisit a pistol that I once walked away from a bit too quickly. I picked up the Glock 26 Gen 4 through Frontier, where I have good friends who understand my passion for hands-on firearm work. I was immediately reminded of why this model was such a staple in the concealed carry world for so long. During the build process and initial range testing, I noticed small but meaningful differences both in the gun and in myself as a shooter. It wasn't just about the specs or performance this time, it was about giving the platform a fair shot again, with a more experienced perspective. I wasn't looking for nostalgia, I was looking for reliability, compatibility, and a solid testing platform. But what I found instead was a renewed appreciation. I saw the Glock 26 through a clearer lens, free of old comparisons and biased judgments. What began as a technical project evolved into a rediscovery. And in that rediscovery, the Glock 26 proved it deserved a second chance. As I spent more time with the Glock 26 Gen 4, I naturally found myself comparing it to the Glock 19, a longtime favorite of mine. Side by side, the differences are subtle but impactful. The Glock 19 is slightly heavier, around 24 ounces, while the Glock 26 comes in closer to 21 or 21.5 ounces. The size difference is immediately noticeable, especially in the grip and barrel length. While the 19 is arguably more comfortable for extended range sessions, the 26 excels in terms of concealability and compactness. Initially, my biggest gripe with the 26 was the flat base magazine. My pinky always hung off the bottom, and over time, that became more uncomfortable than I remembered. Years ago, it wasn't much of a problem, but now, I've come to expect a bit more grip real estate. Thankfully, the solution was simple. Swapping to a factory plus-duo base plate transformed the handling experience. That minor change gave me a full solid grip and made shooting the 26 a whole lot more enjoyable. But what really shines with the Glock 26 is its magazine versatility. You can run the standard 10-round mag, add a +2 extension, or go all the way up to a Glock 17 or 34 magazine for higher capacity. There are even 33-round mags if you're looking for a fun range day or a backup in your kit. The ability to seamlessly interchange magazines across the Glock family adds a huge layer of practicality. Even better, accessories like grip sleeves help convert those longer mags into comfortable extensions without compromising stability. It's a simple but brilliant system, and one of the reasons the Glock ecosystem is so beloved by professionals and hobbyists alike. In short, while the Glock 19 may be more forgiving for general use, the 26 holds its own, especially when you start leveraging its magazine flexibility. For anyone on the fence, it's worth a second look. While this isn't a full technical review, it's important to highlight some key features of the Glock 26 Gen 4 that stood out during this return experience. Starting with the grip texture, it strikes a nice balance. It's aggressive enough to provide a secure hold, even with sweaty hands, but not so harsh that it becomes uncomfortable for daily carry. The Gen 4 version also features finger grooves, which some shooters dislike, but in this case, I actually preferred them over the Gen 5's flat front. They offer just a bit more control for a smaller frame like the 26. Another small but impactful choice was adding one of the Glock back straps. I went with the smaller of the two non-beaver tail options, and it made a noticeable difference. It filled my hand better and allowed for a more comfortable grip. Looking back, I wish I had tried it sooner. As for the controls, the mag release isn't ambidextrous by default, but Glock makes it easy to switch. The slide stop is also standard, not extended, and I kept it that way. On a gun this size, I've found that extended levers can get in the way or get bumped unintentionally during use, especially for concealed carry. Internally, I made a few enhancements. I installed an Overwatch precision trigger, not my usual Apex, but still solid. Alongside that, I did a basic polish job, the classic 25-cent trigger job, and upgraded the safety plunger with a ZV component. The result? A cleaner break and more satisfying reset. Disassembly remains as simple as ever. Pull the trigger, tug the slide slightly, and down go the tabs. That's the beauty of Glock. Easy to take apart, easy to clean, easy to tinker with. That simplicity is one of the reasons people keep coming back to the platform. No rail for lights or lasers, but for a gun this small, that's a trade-off I'm okay with. You can still explore aftermarket light options that clip onto the trigger guard if needed. What really sparked this entire video and this new perspective was the recent shooting session I had with the Glock 26 Gen 4. Admittedly, I didn't run hundreds of rounds through it, just about 150 during a mixed-range day, where I was also testing a polymer-ready build with a Legion precision compensator. But that short session was more than enough to change my opinion. To put it plainly, the Glock 26 surprised me. It was smooth, accurate, and incredibly comfortable to shoot far more than I remembered. This wasn't the same frustrating experience I had a year ago. Back then, I could barely hit anything with it and just chalked it up to a poor fit. But now, with a few modifications and a fresh mindset, the pistol performed beautifully. A big part of that shift comes from me, not the gun. Over the past year, I've made several changes to my shooting habits, my grip, stance, and overall mindset at the range. I've also gotten more serious about dry fire practice and fundamentals. So when I revisited the Glock 26, I wasn't the same shooter anymore. It wasn't that the 26 had failed me, it was that I hadn't truly learned how to shoot it properly before. That revelation was humbling. It reminded me not to be too quick to dismiss a gun based on one or two bad sessions. Sometimes, it's not the firearm, it's the shooter. And once you realize that, you start to approach gear with a lot more humility. So yes, I walked away from that range day feeling not just impressed with the Glock 26, but almost guilty for writing it off in the first place. It didn't just perform well, it restored my confidence in what a good compact pistol should feel like in the hand and on target. Now, I'm seriously considering bringing it back into my carry rotation. This experience with the Glock 26 didn't just change my opinion about the gun, it highlighted something deeper about being a shooter. Sometimes we outgrow or grow into certain firearms. The gear might stay the same, but we evolve. Our skills, preferences, and shooting philosophy shift over time. And what didn't work for us once might become exactly what we need later. That's why I think it's important to revisit old decisions. Maybe you sold a gun you didn't jive with, or maybe there's one sitting in the back of your safe collecting dust. If you've leveled up your shooting game or just approached training differently now, that MEP pistol might feel like a whole different experience. That was the case for me with the Glock 26. I don't know exactly where this Gen 4 fits into my system, yet maybe it'll be a regular carry piece. Maybe a backup gun, or even a truck gun. What I do know is that it has a solid place in my collection now, not out of nostalgia, but because it earned it back. And I wanted to share all of this, not just to make peace with my past judgment, but to encourage you as well. If there's a firearm you gave up on or didn't quite connect with before, maybe it's worth a second chance. You might be surprised at how much has changed, not with the gun, but with you. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Have you ever dismissed a firearm only to return to it later and realize you were wrong? Or maybe you're thinking about giving an old favorite another shot? Let's talk about it. Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about guns, it's about growth. And sometimes, growth looks like picking up something familiar and realizing you finally know how to use it.